Okay, let's do this. As usual, I'm going to start by inviting people, letting people know that we're going live. So if you're watching later, go ahead and skip ahead. This is the boring part. Let's see, send that. Okay. Oh, wait. There we go. Interesting. I got an interesting little thumbnail there. Oh well. Alright. So now we're live. Hello, Dana Lou. Nice to see you. Alright. So here we go for the software. Let me pull this one over. And let's get started. Alright. It's just one of those things. If nobody joins, nobody joins. That's fine, honestly. It's not nobody. Dana Lou, you're here. But it's I'm just not that concerned about it. Like, I'm gonna be doing this. Thought I might live stream it. Thought it would be fun. Oh well. Anyway. Okay, looks like we got a little bit to get through here. All right. First thing we got to do is find our intro. We'll be on Discord, but we won't. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's right. We
hang on.
live streamed this episode, I think. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Legendarium podcast. I am Craig. I'm your host. And with me, as maybe never. Okay. So we've got our intro there. Now I just want to see if there's anything fun that we said before.
Good, because one of the questions we have on Discord is what happened in those chapters.
Some stuff.
We may or may not get to that. So.
Because usually you have to edit out things like me saying curse words and stuff. I am
So, all right.
notes. We're doing it live. Your scripts, and then I see your final video. I'm like, this was not in the initial script.
Okay. Your comments, I can't respond. Yeah, probably not. Oh, what happened to my snap feature? Okay. Let's get that ready. Okay, good. Got our snap feature back on. Now then, we need to open up. All right, now let's go through and check what those markers were. Probably just stumbling around a little bit.
Come out of them a better person. And sorry, my train just like
That's
stopped.
It has left the
Anyway, that's the
station.
point I was making.
We didn't already release this episode, did we? Now I need to check and make sure. 12 through 14. Okay, we did do Hobbits 12 through 14, but we haven't done this one yet. I was just having deja vu from listening to that. Okay.
Them a better person. And sorry, my train.
Here, let's actually lengthen that just a little bit. Oops. Oops. This way.
Them a better person. And sorry, my train just like
That's
stopped.
It has left the
Anyway, that's the point I was making.
Marked.
There was my point. I don't know where else I was going with that. So.
There it is. Oh, there it is.
Okay, so I want to... All right, so let's see how that sounds if I kind of splice it together that way. It has left the...
Anyway, that's the point I was making.
Okay, so I want to
That's
bring up... All right. Hello, Lightning Tiger. How long does it take me to usually... how long does it usually take to edit an episode? Not very long, normally. We record an hour-long episode, and I just kind of... I trust that if I marked something, like you see... let's see if I pull it over to... Yeah, I mean, I've got the marker there that says that's where the intro was. I had a marker here saying something happened. And so I trust myself that if something happens during the episode, I will have marked it. So I don't generally go through and listen to the entire thing again. I just publish it, trusting that I would have marked something egregious like that. And so once that's done... as far as I'm concerned, it's ready to go. So maybe, I guess, to answer your question, if it was well recorded, if everything was done just fine, as little as 5 to 10 minutes. But if there is, like, as I'm looking here, I feel like my track is definitely the loudest, but sometimes I have a fairly weak voice compared to other people anyway, and so sometimes that's necessary. But I might take a look at Stephanie's track to make sure, like, right here it looks like she's a little bit quiet. So I might look at things like that, but usually I figure it's all right. That's why we've got that box in the background kind of doing its thing as we record so that I don't have to spend a bunch of time editing episodes like this. So let's see. Darium.reddit.com, and we will see you next time. Okay, cool. So as far as I can tell, that's everything that needed to be done. And now the next thing I'll do is go through and hunt for a little opening snippet. Just how closely related these two are. Okay? So Dane's grandfather was the brother of Thorin's grandfather. Oh, this is fascinating stuff. All right, fine. We'll move on.
No, keep going. I'm just giving you a hard time because you brought up Appendix B.
I only kept going because you did that. So, but I did want to talk. I mean, that might be good. I'm always just looking for some place where we're having more fun, to put in that intro. And I can always tell if I zoom in a little bit, these little jumps right here mean that somebody's laughing. And so that's what I look for as I'm hunting for these little snippets. Dominic wants me to apologize for Elantris. You know what I mean by apology. Were you saying that you are also an Elantris apologist, or not so much? Okay, hang on. I need to hunt for this. Okay.
More. I was like,
yeah.
by the end, when Thorin dies,
Spoiler alert.
I was like,
Okay. You figure it out.
And they immediately beeline it back up the hill.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, I kind of like it. What? Let's see what else we've got here. It's just in different places.
Coming on its way, and then the narrator zooms out and says, "And they all fought and whatever."
Oops.
are they just picked up people and separated them and said, you go to your corner and you...
You know what? I think that first one might be the best bet. I'll bet that it is. Okay. And then we'll get to some Elantris stuff. Thanks, Dominic. You're on my side. Everybody should be on my side. I'm always right. Always.
book.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I'm a huge fan of the Lego movie, like the Lego games. The Hobbit is a well-played Lego game. If anyone wants, play the Lego games.
I love this story more than
Hello,
a
Horizon?
lot of things in my life. Let's be honest. Okay. I'm not seeing any other great candidates. So, about where was that? Oops.
Roak or something like that.
Roak and
Yeah.
Dane's, so Dane's grandfather was, okay. So Dane's grandfather was the brother of Thorin's grandfather. Oh, this is fascinating stuff. All right, fine. We'll move on.
No,
from
keep
that.
going. I'm just giving you a hard time because you brought up Appendix B.
I only kept going because you did that. So, all right. So that I think that'll do. Take that, throw it up front. Now we'll zoom in, make it a little more intelligible. Bring down Stephanie's laugh at the beginning. So Dane's grandfather was the brother of Thorin's grandfather. Oh, this is fascinating stuff. All right, fine. We'll move on.
No,
from
keep
that.
going.
No,
I'm just giving you a hard time because you brought up Appendix B.
I only kept going because you did that. So. All right, so we'll kind of fade out with that.
Appendix B.
I only kept going because you did that. So. I think that'll work. All right. Place it correctly. Should be about right. You guys hear that jet above me? All right.
The Legendarium podcast is brought to you
by you. So please visit patreon.com/legendarium
To support the show. But for now,
Welcome to the Legendarium.
I think that's a pretty good placement. All right. So Dane's grandfather was the brother of Thorin's grandfather. Oh, this is fascinating stuff. All right, fine. We'll move on. So Dane's grandfather was the brother of Thorin's grandfather. Oh, this is fascinating stuff. All right, fine. We'll move on.
No,
from
keep
that.
going. I'm just giving you a hard
Dominic,
time
I
because
am
you brought
not
up
close to an
Appendix
airport. I'm
B.
close I to only an Air kept Force going base. because you did that. So the studio is located almost directly under the flight path for departing fighter jets, and so that's when they've got things cranked up the loudest, right? If I were on the other end of the Air Force base, then I'd be getting them land, which still might be loud every once in a while, but it would not be nearly as loud as when they're taking off. So So I'm on the cheap side of the Air Force Base, I think.
Going because you did that. So.
All right, that'll work.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Legendarium
That'll work.
podcast.
All
I
right.
am Craig. I'm your host.
Yeah, it is
and
tricky.
with me,
the nice
as
thing
maybe
is,
never,
so
I don't
the-
know if this is a combo
well,
we've
hang on.
ever had, is Kyle.
Mhm.
Say hello.
Hello.
I just want them to be able to distinguish between you and...
Okay, cool. Thing is, the mic that I'm using right now, that's kind of sitting above me, is not set up to cut out noise like that. But the mics that we use over here for the podcast, they run through all this machinery here in the box. And one of the things that does is it cuts out kind of low rumbly noises like that. So here comes another one. If they've really got the afterburners on, those mics will still pick it up. But a lot of times, if they've already gained a lot of altitude or something, then we can avoid a lot of the jet noise. But not on this mic, so you're getting the full effect. But that also helps. The reason I got those was in part because of things like an air conditioning unit or a heating unit or something like that. I can still use that, and we can still be comfortable in here with a little bit of noise. And those devices in the audio tower over there just kind of
Haven't
cut
read
that
the
noise right out. So it's very convenient that way. Okay. How did I learn about all the hardware and software used for the podcast? That's a great question. It's been so many years now that I'm not sure that I could totally answer that. It was more, it's like, I learned about a lot of it from doing radio. I worked in radio for a couple of years in college, and so I kind of got some of the basics there, but they never, explained all of this stuff. But a lot of it was just, I have a problem, I need to find a solution, and so you Google until you find somebody who can explain the solution to you. And that's a lot of how I learned this stuff. When I started, see, there goes a loud one. That's a loud one. When I started podcasting, or when I wanted to pick it up, I literally went and got Podcasting for Dummies. And if you know anything about the For Dummies series, it is then you know that it's amazing. It's actually almost universally really, really helpful. And so that was a big one for me. Was like, where do I even start with podcasting as far as equipment and software and all that stuff? And so that was a huge help. And then when I wanted to get into the more advanced stuff, it was basically just Googling and YouTubing and all of that. So trial and error and learning by searching.
Lord of the Rings. So we hope that you'll be there for that. Thanks again for listening. If you would like to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/legendarium and join the conversation at thelegendarium.reddit.com. And we will see you next time. Next time.
I can tell you one thing. Yeah, Calculus for Dummies. I could have used that. I passed my AP Calculus test, but not with exactly flying colors. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, one of the things that actually can help quite a bit is, and I'm using this with photography. I'm trying to get a little bit into photography right now. But when I was looking around for better mics, so we had mics, they were doing just fine, but I was like, what can we do to up our game just a little bit? And so I, let me see if was that the right one? Yeah. So I went out and looked for these mics that we're using now. I just kind of Googled, like, what are some great mics, and that Shure SM7B came up, and it was like, this is a gold standard kind of broadcast mic. It's used by a lot of broadcasters and podcasters, and so I was like, oh, great, maybe that's something we can save up for. And so you go to Amazon, and you say, I want to get this microphone, and then Amazon will say, well, this is frequently bought with, these other 2 items. And that is actually extremely helpful. Obviously, they're just trying to sell you more stuff. But in a way, it's like, why? Why are these things often sold together? And so I would go and look up those other devices, and that's where I found those kind of silver ones. Yeah, those silver ones right there. That's how I found those with the noise gate, it's called, that cuts out those other noises. Because they were frequently bought together, that sort of thing. And so, like I said, I'm kind of learning that with photography as well, where it's like, I want to get this certain camera body or this lens, and then it'll say, well, that's frequently bought with this, and I'll say why, and I'll Google it, and oftentimes it helps to take the device name, Google that versus, and then leave that blank, and Google, and it'll give you, like, you can end up with a list of 5 different things that do the similar, perform a similar function, but might be cheaper or even better than what you found initially. So that's one way to do it. Okay, I think we're pretty much good to go. This is definitely, as you can see. Oh wait, you guys can't see. So I'm looking at the entire episode now, start to finish, and as you can see, this is my track. This is definitely a Professor Craig episode where Kyle and Stephanie had a few things to share, and definitely, had some responses to some things that I said. But for the most part, I think they were mostly just like, you talk, whatever. And so I did. Anyway, I hope that doesn't annoy people too much. I get a little bit self-conscious because I don't like it when the show is too much about me. But when it's The Hobbit, it's kind of, I don't know about inevitable, but it certainly is likely. Okay, so let's save that. Oh, wait, we are not ready to export yet. Need to find out what episode this is. Episode 257. And let's see, 15 through 19. I guess there is a comma there. Now I think we're good. Okay. Any interest in amateur ham radio? Hey, is it Stefan, or is it like Steven? Stefan? I don't know. Me is awesome. Yes, you're 14, right? Am I remembering that right? Welcome. Glad to have you. Let's see. Where did introducing your co-host with insults come from? That's a good question. Okay. I will answer that. Just a moment. I want to make sure. Let's see. Any interest? Let me go back to that one. Interest in amateur ham radio? Not really. Not that I don't think it's cool. My dad does some ham radio stuff, and in a way, I think it's pretty awesome. But it's just one of those things. Like we all have our the things we're interested in. Ham radio has not been one of those things for me. So, okay, the other question: where did introducing your co-hosts with insults come from? Okay, that one has a very definite, specific source. It's so I used to watch quite a lot of cable news when I was kind of like college age and just out of college. I don't anymore. I find it insufferable, but I used to watch a lot of it. And there was Stefan. Okay, so did I get it right, Stefan? I don't know any Romanian, so I know nothing about Romanian. I guess that's probably not true. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of cable news, now I don't. That one is loud. They're really hitting the afterburners today. There were always a lot of shows that drove me crazy on cable news, but one of the ones that I enjoyed was Red Eye, and this was on Fox News Channel back in, it's gone now, but it was Greg Gutfeld, and he used to be a magazine editor for like men's magazines and stuff, and he was just a funny dude, and he did this show called Red Eye, and it was basically, instead of a news show, it was just a bunch of people who got together and made fun of news stories, and their only goal was to be funny for the entire hour, and so I really enjoyed that show. And he would introduce all of his guests with, usually it was like a quip. It wasn't necessarily an insult, sometimes it was, but it was always a funny little quip. And I took that and just decided to use it as like pure insults for a while. I know sometimes I stray from it a little bit, but that was where that came from, was Greg Gutfeld. So he's a pretty hilarious dude. Let's see, Dominic, spread your cable news watching around. Yeah, the problem is that as I've gotten older, I've realized that it doesn't help me, at least, to watch all those different sources when they all are terrible. So that's kind of what I come down on. I tend to find I'm more of a magazine person these days, and so our house is subscribed to like National Review and The Atlantic and Commentary. I can't remember what else, but anyway, we've got a few. Sounds like Wait, Don't Tell Me. Yeah, probably a bit like that. Hey, Josh. Oh, Stefan, thank you. It is, that's, I should go this way. That's Miranda Meeks in the background. She was on an episode a while ago, so you can see Vin and Kelsey are above me, and then, Silence Montaigne and Vin again over there. Okay. So Dominic, you want an episode where I specifically brutally tear into? Oh man, Daniel. That's a great question. What was the worst? The worst thing I read this year. That's a great question. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Daniel is going to publish a video that includes what I don't know about the thing that I mentioned. Okay, I'll just spoil it for people. There's 10 of you here, so you should still go watch his video. But I mentioned Lightbringer as my pick for what I read this year that I would recommend. Not that I necessarily think that it was the best, because I that might go to Terry Pratchett or even possibly Doomsday Book, which I thought was amazing. But anyway, I really loved Lightbringer. But if I might choose the worst thing that I read this year, it would actually be Another Brent Weeks, and that was the third book in the Night Angel trilogy, which just did not work for me at all. I guess there were things about it that I enjoyed, but it was like, it just did not fit with the other two books, and it got, I don't know. I kind of felt like he did a little bit too much of start small and get epic, and it was just way too much. Yeah, I don't know. So that might be my choice. I'm trying to look at what else I've read this year. As I looked at our list of things that I read this year, I'm kind of amazed when I compare last year to this year at how much I read. It was a much smaller amount, but probably word count, it was still pretty big. I've tried a few times to get through Annihilation, because I love the movie so much, and so I was like, I know the book is completely different. Everybody tells me it's really different, but I still, I want to see what the book is about, and so I just decided to read it, and I couldn't make it through. I've tried a few times, but I hesitate to call that one the worst. It's just really not my style, not my aesthetic, but it's hard to say that it's like the worst thing that I've read, just because it wasn't the thing that I enjoyed. Daniel, bother away anytime. Okay, so hang on, I need to catch up a little bit before I go, and I'll go post this episode in just a moment. So Epidemiologic finished last night. Oh, the Wheel of Time, was it the first time? Wanted more epilogue. Totally trying to fill that void with your podcast. So I have this kind of rant, and it goes back to The Return of the King. If you guys remember I'm talking about the movie, when the movie came out, I guess the book to a certain extent, the movie comes out 2003, and everybody's so excited, and they go see it, and the movie ends, and then, let me switch this back. The movie ends, and then it ends, and then it ends like 6 times, right? And this is kind of the joke with The Return of the King. But in my mind, I was like, this was a 9-hour movie, and in a typical 2-hour movie, you might have like 5 minutes of epilogue, kind of wrapping up the story, whatever. And so it makes sense that when you stretch that out over 9 hours, it's 4 times as long as a regular movie. You're going to have 4 times the ending. And so it always kind of made sense to me as an extra bit of decompression. And I feel that way about The Wheel of Time too, but it kind of in the opposite way, where it's like, this was 14 books long, and then it kind of like ends, and you get that 5 minutes of closure at the end of The Wheel of Time, and I was left wanting, for sure, which in a way is a good thing, right? But by the end of it, I was like, where's the rest of my... it's that thing at the end of the movie where it's like, Billy went on to found this company, and Joey's in prison now, and I kind of wanted that. Where is everybody? What happened to them at the end? And we just didn't get much of that at all. And so the ending of Wheel of Time is bittersweet for me in that way. Okay, so I hope that you are okay. Get ready. There may be a void now, and I hope that our podcasts and other books help you fill that, but give it about a week to a month, and the reread itch will start burning like crazy, and you're going to want to scratch that. So don't worry, you'll be back into the Wheel of Time pretty soon. Okay. For which switch to audio for Annihilation. I didn't want to spend the credit on it. I have other things that I needed to spend my Audible credit on. Okay. Stefan, been listening to Warbreaker for 3 days now. So freaking good. It's great. It's a great book. All right. Rise of Skywalker should have had a more grand ending. Maybe. Yeah, let's the Star Wars thing. Here's my thing about Star Wars. We did our episode on it. It came out within a little while of the movie, and so that's great. It it is now time, as far as I'm concerned, it's now time for us to kind of leave it alone. I'm talking about us as a podcast, me as a person. I want to leave it alone for a little while and kind of see how it ages with myself and with the culture at large. And so I'm not too eager to continue tearing into it, to continue finding flaws or continue apologizing for certain parts of it. It's like I've said my piece, and now I want to see how it ages, and I might have more or different things to say next year. Like with The Last Jedi, I know that was the case for that, where I had a lot more to say later. Okay. But now that that's done, let's go finish this episode. What do you say? All right. Go to Canva. And we need to do our Hobbit stuff. So this was, what did I say, 257? 257. Okay. That one, we need that one. Should be good. Good. Go away. Okay. All right. Oh, Daniel, you want to know what I thought of His Dark Materials or Witcher? I have not yet watched His Dark Materials. Those books I never got around to, and then the movie, I made it like, years ago when they made a movie about it, I made it like 20 minutes into the movie and kind of fell asleep, I think. And so I don't have much to say about that. The Witcher is so tricky because I'm still trying to decide whether or how much I liked it. I binged the whole thing, and so I think that speaks well to it that, a lot of things you just kind of fizzle out on, like the movie, His Dark Materials, years ago. But this one, I kept watching and binged it in 2 or 3 days. I didn't do the one day that Daniel did. He suffers for his art. But it was so... It was like a throwback, right? It was... The Witcher was like... It was like old school swords and sorcery, the kind that gets made fun of or got made fun of a lot. Until the current spate of fantasy stuff kind of came along, and people used to make fun of like Conan the Barbarian and that sort of thing. All those terrible 80s swords and sorcery movies that came out. And this was, I felt like it was kind of a throwback to those things, but done really, really well. But it didn't have the kind of modern aesthetic that I'm used to, and so it kept throwing me off. With the directions that it would take, or the visuals that it would use, or the characters that it had, but ultimately, as far as I can tell, I quite enjoyed it, and I have some quibbles with it, and I wish, there are things that I wish that it would have done or could have done differently, But yeah, I think I liked it. I'm going to go ahead and say I liked it. How's that? I think, what's his name? Henry Cavill did great. He was, I'm not familiar with the books as a source material, so I don't have anything to compare against there, but I think he did great. I liked the other casting. Who I absolutely loved was whoever played the rectoress. What was her name? Somebody's going to have to help me out, and I'm going to try not to spoil anything. I hope you guys do that as well in the comments. But the Rectoress, I thought whoever that actress was nailed that part. I thought she was really great. Yeah, you bet, Daniel. You're welcome for answering. Shoot. Oh, well. Anyway, I have some complaints about Yennefer. The choice of casting or the skill of the actress, I'm not sure. But they're minor. She did fine. The musical numbers at the beginning of the show were a little bit like, it threw me off at first, and then a day later I realized I was still humming it, and I was like, damn, they got me. So that was good. Okay, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Daniel, you're killing me here. I gotta finish this episode. All right. Where are we? So let's go. Okay, so I've got to take this and just shrink it, the file size a little bit, a lot of it. That ought to do it. Okay. No, that's not what I want. I want this. There we go. So, yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think, actually, if you would let me know in the chat what you guys think of The Witcher if you've seen it yet. Again, don't spoil anything. And let me know if I really should be jumping on his Dark Materials, because I know that with Watchmen, I've held off on Watchmen just because I didn't want to subscribe to HBO again, but Watchmen, everybody was like, this is amazing, this is the greatest TV show ever made, and then at the end of it, everybody was like, oh, maybe not, maybe it wasn't that good. And so I haven't jumped on that one. I'm wondering if a similar thing is going to happen with his Dark Materials as well. So yeah, let me know what you all thought of that one. Okay. And we'll get this one going. 19. Haven't seen his Dark Materials. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh gosh, now I need to describe this episode. This is supposed to be the easy part, but it always takes me a minute. I guess that's capitalized, isn't it? Oh, you know what? That would come later. You know what? Maybe that's enough. All right. So we've got that. Let's throw this on there. Do we have one for Hobbit? Hobbits? That'll work. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Stefan, will this episode be available on Spotify right away? Yes, it will, once I hit this button. So I think we're good to go. Just want to make sure I didn't misspell anything egregious. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Alright, so now that we've got that, we'll go publish it elsewhere. Dana Lou, thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, getting to know Daniel has been one of my highlights this year. He's a great content creator. Really enjoy working with him. So I hope you all enjoy his channel, because I know I do. Okay. Alright, Horizon, sorry, I'm getting behind a little bit. You know, I've noticed that people get really angry over endings of shows recently. You know, I think I've got something of a theory about that. Let me see what you had to say. And movies, for that matter. Yeah, as far as sticking the landing, I mean, it's the whole idea of like leaving a good taste in people's mouth, right? And so if you don't stick the landing, that's what people remember. So Game of Thrones, for instance, for what, like 5 seasons or something, was the greatest show on television, and the only one that I've ever seen that I would maybe say, yeah, maybe that was better, was probably Breaking Bad. But Game of Thrones was amazing for so long, and then it kind of crapped its pants at the end, and everybody hated it. And that makes you forget just how good it was. But part of the reason that everybody hated the ending of that was that it was so good for so long. And so I think it's easy to forget that kind of thing. And that's why with something like Night Angel, I mentioned that I didn't care for the 3rd Night Angel book, but part of the reason I didn't care for it is because I cared about the first 2 books more. You know, I did enjoy those, especially the first one. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Endings do matter. Whether you think they matter too much, I suppose, is up to you. But I think it's okay for people to feel upset about the ending, because that is what they are left remembering. So. What was I going to say? Oh, endings wise. I had something else I was going to mention. Oh well. I'll leave my rant there, I guess. Hey Drew, welcome. Welcome in. I'm just getting this Hobbit episode ready to go. So if you guys refresh your podcast feeds, I don't know how immediate it is, but it may be there already. If not, then it'll be there pretty soon. Okay. Let's see, is that green? Too green on there? Maybe we do an orange. Make it really apparent. That one. Okay. There we go. Okay, that should do it on that. Good there, good there. 15 through 19. Publish. Well, Horizon Brave, I guess it depends on what show you're talking about. With Game of Thrones, I think it was like season 8, was that the final season? Season 8 was so bad that it is almost laughable, but I think even the 2 seasons before that, it was kind of like a slow decline before it really dropped off the precipice. And so it's hard to say it was like just one missed season. But yeah, the point is still that kind of thinking tends to discount 5 amazing seasons of television. So, okay, good. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on Patreon as well, but I'll take that off the screen for reasons that I can't remember, but I did that last time, so. All right. I'm actually going to go, ooh, that's right. I think that I've only done like 2 episodes this month on Patreon, but we've published like 5 or 6, and so maybe I should go post a couple of other things on Patreon. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right. There we go. All right, that should do it. I think the last thing that we'll do is pull this over, hop in the episode discussion, and let's see if that works or how quickly it works. Last week it took like 10 minutes for that to actually update, so there we go. Okay, that's it. That's the whole episode. So I'll go through and maybe put it on Twitter and stuff, but that should just about do it for that episode. It is now live. Got to pump those Patreon numbers up. Okay, yeah, maybe I will. I'll show you that. That's fine. I kind of want to put this back on. I took... so this is our Patreon screen here. Now, if you guys have listened to me for a while, you'll know that Patreon is one of my great shames, because you're supposed to create all this fun original content just for Patreon to get people to go on there and subscribe. But there's a big part of me, the dominant part of me, that's like, I create so much stuff already. I don't know if I have the energy, and so I've neglected Patreon for a long time, and I feel pretty bad about it. But this, so this number is public. This number is private. I set it to private. There are, I think, pros and cons to setting that number public or private, and I might set it back. But it used to be up at like $250-ish an episode. We were really close to that goal of $250 per episode, and then it like really. It went way back down. It was down to like 180, 185 at a certain point. And it was hard for me to get upset about it because, like I said, I don't do enough on Patreon, and I understand that. I don't give people enough of a reason to do that other than like, hey, do you like the show? Help us out, kind of a thing. So anyway, that's but that's where we're at right now in case you're interested. Oh, hey, Drew. Did you... Oh, well, I'm not going anywhere, Drew. Not yet. I mean, I'll probably wrap up in a few minutes, but yeah. So that's where we're at there. If you guys are interested, I'll show you the numbers for 2019 as well, which I'm pretty excited about. The numbers, I mean, for the podcast itself. This is December, by the way, has been a very slow month, just because we haven't published as much as we did the last few months, but. Our all-time downloads, I was wondering if we would get to 1 million downloads this year, and I was kind of crossing my fingers, and we far surpassed that. I've been just really blown away with that and very pleased that our all-time downloads are going so well there. So, Horizon 1 tier Patreon supporter, that's perfect. That's about what we deserve, if I'm honest. So... That's great. Anyway, so yeah, this is December's numbers. You can see like these 3-4 spikes. These are where we actually published episodes. We should have published more this month, but we didn't. And then this one, we published it on Christmas Eve. That was The Rise of Skywalker, I think. We published it on Christmas Eve, so that one had a much lower than normal download count. So let's see, what else do we want to see? Maybe all of 2019? Last 12 months? December 18th. Yeah, okay, so yeah. Let's do January 2019 through December 2019. Anyway, so yeah, that's how it's gone this year. And these dips, again, that's because with the holiday season, we always publish a little bit less. Just, people are on vacation. It's hard to get together to do as many. And for these 2 months, we were doing, 2 a week, and then it kind of got down to like 1.5 a week on average. So December's a tough month for everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's tough in that, like, everything slows down, but I think that's actually good. It's, for mental health reasons and whatnot, everybody stops working quite as much. People spend more time with their families. People do, they buy themselves and each other new toys, and they get to, there's that kind of therapeutic aspect to December. And so I will take, every day of the week, I will take a dip in our stats in December in exchange for everybody having a good holiday season. So, all right. Josh, any news on Legendarium Con? Hard news? No. But let's talk about that. And maybe we'll come back to the stats in a few minutes. Legendarium Con. So there's 6 of you, and so if you're still here, maybe you'll care. Let's pull up a calendar here. Or I'll just do it right here. Oh, no, I can't do it right there. Whatever. Yeah, I'll just look at the calendar. If we look at November 2020, if Drew's still here, he can correct me, but I'm pretty sure November 2020, it's the 18th, is the release date for Stormlight 4. Rhythm of War, I believe it's tentatively or almost officially named. So Rhythm of War will come out on Wednesday the 18th. That means that Brandon's release party for that will be on Tuesday the 17th, that evening. And so, my plan right now is to do something for a single night on Monday the 16th of November. Now, it's a little tough because I would love to do something over the weekend, but I think it's probably smarter for us and better for other people as well if we... November 17th? Well, like I said, Drew, I think that's his release party, but I think the official release date is like midnight that night, right? So it's November 18th. I think I'm remembering that right. Anyway, point being, whenever the release party is, the night before, we will plan to do something. And so January, my goal in January will be to nail down some concrete plans for that and to start planning ahead. Monday night will be the midnight release party. So are we going to do a Sunday activity? Is that right? All right, I'm looking it up. For release date, November 17th. Okay. Okay, maybe Drew is right. So it'll be a Monday release. So anyway, whatever it is, it'll be the previous night that we'll do something as the Legendarium. And if that's the case, maybe we do more of a weekend thing. But my idea would be because it'll be in November, it'll be cold here in Utah. And so probably not a great idea to do a lot of outdoor stuff because people will be miserable. And so maybe it would be like renting out some conference rooms or something and doing a get-together. A Tuesday party for Starsight because it was YA. If they do a midnight release. Didn't want to do midnight Monday. Anyway. So yeah, whatever. around that's I guess Drew and I are going after the dates here, I guess, but whatever the date ends up being, I'm going to do something around then. Even if Brandon does nothing, I think that would still be a good time for the Legendarium people to get together. And so so that'll be my plan for now, is to throw something together around that. So to be, I'd want to get some people out for that. I won't name anybody, but I would want to get some other content creators out, invite some of the local authors, artists, whoever, and just say, hey, we're doing this, and we'd love to have you, but no big deal. I think the primary thing would be to get us together as a Legendarium group and kind of get to know each other, give you a chance to meet us, the panelists, and each other as listeners, and have some fun book club conversations, and then that night everybody drinks and plays Magic or something, and just have a good time that way. So is there any news on it? No, I don't have any official news, but just to kind of get you an idea of what I'm thinking right now. So if you have any ideas for that, you're welcome to email me, or just find me elsewhere, Discord or whatever. But email me, Craig@thelegendariumpodcast.com, and let me know what you would like to do. So good. Well, the episode's out. Everything is done. The bot refuses to update the episode on Discord, but it'll get there, I'm sure. Yeah, Horizon. Everybody wants us to come to them, and we'd love to. Honestly, we'd love to. But you saw our monthly Patreon numbers. That's just not happening. More than once a year right now. So, anyway, hey, Drew's gonna be there. So now you've got a draw. Now everybody has a reason to go. So, all right, I think we're good. It's been a little over an hour. We've got an episode out. Enjoy talking to you guys as always. One of these days, I'm going to schedule a live stream so that we can get some more people in here, and that'll be fun. But for now, it's just fun to do these impromptu ones. Nice to talk to everybody. I'll be on Discord and whatnot, so enjoy your day. Happy New Year's, everybody. Have a good one.